Fantastic. So this one's inspired by this book. Oh, let me grab it. So I found this book in the library the other day. So it's called Life, a User's Manual. And I thought, yeah, I'll have some of that, please. That looks good. And it's really, really lovely. It's so it kind of goes through the human condition, every range and gamut of emotion that you could possibly think of from A through to Z. And what it does is it offers you a philosophical slant on that particular problem, emotion, feeling. And it's really, really interesting. So I've been having a little flick through at various bits and pieces. And I came to busy. I thought I'd look at busyness and see what the ancients have to say about busyness. So I'll just read you. It's only a little bit, but I think many of us suffer from this affliction of busyness. So if you're wrestling with a busy schedule, unable to find the time to stop and smell the roses, play with the children, or even just relax with a gin and tonic, the answer does not lie in a new time management app. Believe it or not, you need a dose of Heidegger. So this philosopher, this is what he says about busyness. He says that we need a radical overhaul of how we view time and how we use our time. We need to understand that focusing on doing filters out being. The more we obsess about getting things done, the less mental space we have to take in the world for what it is rather than how it's useful. But the good news is that we have some control over what we pay attention to. When we switch from doing to being, we appreciate the subtle changing of the seasons, say, or the patterns in the mud in a riverbed at low tide. Instead of focusing on how things are, we marvel that things are at all, that we are conscious beings who perceive colours and sounds here on this planet in a mysterious universe. The demands of life mean that everydayness is invariably, well, an everyday experience, but it's worth making the effort to create at least some space in our busy routines to suspend instrumental thinking and connect more deeply with what it is to be alive. Wise words. So that's what we're going to do today. Less doing, more being. So let's find ourselves in a comfortable seated position. If you're desperate to lie yourselves down this morning, feel free, and I'll invite you to sit up when we begin. But find a nice comfy place which never ever has to be cross-legged. You can prop yourself up against a convenient piece of furniture, somewhere where you can avoid slumping. So if you need to pop something underneath your bottom to tip your pelvis gently forwards, feel free. Hands wherever is comfortable, knees, lap, or alternating between the two. And maybe just closing your eyes for a moment, or simply focusing on a point on the floor just in front of you, softening your gaze so everything in your peripheral vision becomes a little bit blurry. I always think this time of year is a really beautiful time of year in terms of what we see around us. Changing from summer to autumn, it's the autumn equinox on Tuesday. And yet, again, some of us are so busy that we simply forget to look up and around. This beautiful time of year, so maybe that can be our challenge, making the most of the next few days of nice weather, simply to stop and to appreciate the glories of the season. Less doing, more being. So as we begin to slow things down, allow the breath to settle into a really comfortable and easy pattern. Come on in, Sally, if you're just joining us. We're just sitting in a cross-legged position here. So you might have had a really busy weekend, maybe a very busy week, maybe you've got a busy week ahead of you. But seeing if you can lay that aside for the next hour, so nothing robs you of this space where, in the words of Heidegger, we can suspend instrumental thinking just for a moment. So we can work just in the hips and around the lower body to begin with a seated practice. So let's start just by bringing the right hand to the floor, just alongside the hip, And we'll sweep the left arm all the way up, and without losing connection through the sit bones, we'll just reach that arm overhead. You might want to start this morning by looking down towards the floor, seeing how the neck feels, just exploring that sense of space through the side body, and then we'll come all the way back up through center. Reach up really tall so you can find that space through both sides of the waist. And then we'll simply come over to the other side. So again, I'm going to drop the gaze down. Someone else just popping in this morning. Yeah. Come on in, Annie. So gluing down through that right sit bone as you take that right arm overhead. And then let's start to move with the breath. So as you inhale, you come up through center. And as you exhale, we take a little tick-tock from side to side. And let everything be quite soft. So it's almost like you're making like a little yin-yang symbol with your arms. So the elbows are nice and soft. So smoothness through the movement. No hurry. You might begin to start to just feel comfortable taking your gaze up towards the ceiling. So you're just beginning to open up some space in the chest. But if that doesn't feel nice, then it's absolutely fine to keep the gaze down. Again, really tune in with the being rather than the doing. If something doesn't feel nice, then simply don't do it. Let's do one more little tick-tock over to the right. So we're just beginning to tune into the rhythm of our breath. Slowing things down this morning. Over to the left. Last one. Beautiful. Let's bring the hands all the way back behind you now. Fingertips facing forwards or slightly angled out to the side. Pick up the shoulders, roll them down the back so you can just gently press into your fingertips or your palms and elongate through the front of the body. I don't like throwing my head too far back. It really doesn't work for my neck. So I'm just going to keep the chin tucked in a little bit. Lovely. And then just soften the stretch. Keep the hands where they are so you can lean into them. Give the legs a little shake. And then if you're comfortable crossing, we'll cross right in front of left. If you're not comfortable crossing, just stretch the legs out in front of you, no problem. Hands on the knees, and start to circle. Taking the body around to the right first of all, so we start to circle the body. You might feel comfortable closing the eyes. Someone want a creaky floorboard, it's not my hips. So with the eyes closed, again, we can really focus on how that feels, not worrying about necessarily what it looks like, what anyone else looks like. You might be leading with your chin, it might be your chest, shoulders might start to get a little bit involved there. Or just limbering up, finding some space in the hip. Let's pause and then just start circling the opposite way. So we take the body around to the left first of all, if you started off to the right like me. So you're kind of drawing a little circle around the base of your pelvis there. Weight shifting forwards and then weight dropping back a little bit. Let's do a couple more. Again, just bring up some space in the hips. We'll make this the last full circuit. And then we'll come all the way back up through center, lifting up nice and tall as you reach the arms all the way up. I'm going to take a little twist around to the right. So the left hand will come across the body, just anchoring down your right knee or thigh, and we'll bring that right hand and snuggle it behind you. Some of you might be up on your fingertips like me, so your palm doesn't quite touch the floor. I've got little arms, so I like to kind of prop myself forward so I'm not leaning into that back hand. It's like a second spine. You might feel comfortable looking over that back shoulder, or you might just prefer to look towards the side wall there. So we'll keep that left hand where it is, very gently pressing down on that right thigh. Reach the right arm up and over. So the body is still turned towards the right. So we're getting a bit of a side stretch as well as opening up some space in that hip. So that right knee might want to start to lift from the floor. So very gently keep it anchored down and think about lifting up and over. Beautiful. Let's reach that right arm all the way up to the ceiling. We're going to bring the knees towards you so you can cross your right arm on top of your left arm and just take hold of your knees there. If you don't quite get your knees, you can just bring your hands onto your thighs. Push your knees into your hands, drop your chin to your chest, and almost sit towards the back of your sit bones there. So you've got a little rounding through the back from side on. So you're just dropping the weight back, getting a nice stretch between your shoulder blades there. So as you push your knees forwards, your hands resist a little bit, so you increase that stretch. Lovely. Let go of the knees, keep the arms crossed. Sweep the arms all the way up as though you're taking off a jumper. Reach them up and then sweep them all the way back behind you, fingertips to the floor. Roll the shoulders back, lift up through the chest. You can lift your chin, should you feel comfortable. And this time, if you're comfortable, you can lift the hips so the knees press down into the floor. Again, try to avoid dropping the head too far back. Little squeeze the bottom. Lovely. And then lower the hips. Lean into that right side so you can either bring your left shin back behind you, so making like a zigzag with the legs. If that doesn't work for the knee, extend that left leg out on the diagonal. Whatever works for you. Either tuck it behind you or stretch it out. Lovely. Right hand to the floor by the hip. And really sit down into your sit bones. So get the sense of trying to press that left sit bone down. And now that left arm, we're going to sweep across the body and roll that left hip forward. So pick up the bottom and roll that hip forward so there's space between my bottom and the floor. And then I'll draw back, really sit down into that left sit bone and take that left elbow back so we're coming into a little twist. So I'm sitting down into my sit bones. So inhale, roll and press that left hip forward so that left buttock lifts as you reach up and over. And then exhale, sitting back down, draw that elbow back as you take that little twist. Lovely. We'll do that twice more. So a little lifting and reaching. So you're getting a nice stretch through that side of the body. And then we try and sit into that left sit bone. Just once more like this. You can use that right hand for a little bit of support. Lovely. So we're going to do that a couple more times. Option to keep that right hand where it is, or bring your fingertips to touch just in front of the chest. Elbows out nice and wide. Lovely. So as you inhale, you turn the torso. Same thing, but without that right hand on the floor. And then as you exhale, we take that little twist. So it's a little bit harder because we've not got the right hand to support it. Inhale, working the core a little bit more. We twist to the right, lifting that left buttock. And exhale. Beautiful. This time we'll come back to center. Bring the right hand down to the floor. Just alongside the hip. Reach that left arm all the way up and over on the diagonal. Option to look down and lift the hips forwards and up. So you're looking towards the right hand, pressing the hips forwards and reaching that left arm up and over on the diagonal. Beautiful. Hips lower, arm sweeps across the face. And we'll all then extend that left leg out on the diagonal, snuggling right heel in towards your groin, toes and knee of that left leg up towards the ceiling. Just relax that right arm, back of the left hand on your shin or thigh. We'll take a little side stretch, so sliding the hands down towards your left foot. You can look down, you can look up, whatever feels comfortable there. Trying to keep that right sit bone grounded. Lovely. Sliding your way back up to center. Inhale, sweep the arms up. And as you exhale, take a twist to the right. Again, that left hand's going to come across the body, right hand behind you. And avoid lifting up through your bottom. So really feel balanced across your seat. Press that left heel away from you and get that lovely sense of stretch between the collarbones there. Lovely. We'll come back through center. I'm going to come back into that side bend. So back of the hand resting on shin or thigh, but this time let's sweep the right arm up and then reach it over. And if that's uncomfortable, feel free to come back to that one we were doing before with the hand resting alongside you. You can look up towards the ceiling, so we're really lifting that top shoulder open, trying to have the chest forwards rather than facing the floor. Some of you might be able to take hold of your big toe with your first two fingers and ease yourself down a little more. So we'll all be in very different places. Beautiful. And then let's release, sliding our way back up. And then miraculously, as if by magic, we can cross left leg in front of right. Or stretch the legs out. Hands on the knees, or just on your thighs, whatever works for you. We'll start that circle, this time starting by taking the ribs over to the left. Lovely, so back where we started, but with this other leg in front, you might find that it feels slightly different. We'll all feel very different in our hips. One side might be tighter than the other, so again, just bringing into that awareness of how our body is aligned and configured. And then we'll just stop where we are and just take the ribs around the opposite way this time. And again, you might want to close your eyes. It might be your chest, Might be your chin leading the way, the shoulders might be getting a little bit involved there. A little circle around the base of your pelvis again. Beautiful. And then we'll come back, finding a balance point across both sit bones, reaching the arms up, find that length through both sides of the waist. So we'll take that little twist to the left this time. So this time it's the right hand that comes down onto the left knee or thigh, fingertips snuggled in behind you. And just really try and roll that left shoulder back. So there's a nice broadness across the chest. Again, gazing wherever feels comfortable over that back shoulder or towards the side wall. And that back hand again is like a second spine, really propping you forwards, right on top of your sit bones there. Now using that right hand to gently press the knee or the thigh down, we'll reach the left arm up and over. So the body still angles towards the left. And it's that left knee now that wants to pop up. So gently press it down. So we're finding space in the top of the hip. Oh, lovely. Now reach up towards the ceiling. Draw the knees up towards you so you can cross left arm over right, holding onto your knees there. So push the knees into your hands resist, chin to chest. And again, you're kind of sitting back, so you're making a little C shape with the spine there. So you should feel a stretch between your shoulder blades. And this side doesn't feel quite as tight as the other one. Obviously that massage worked yesterday. Let go of the knees, keep the arms crossed, and we'll sweep the arms in front of the face like you're taking a jumper off, swimming them all the way back behind you, fingertips to the floor, facing forwards or angled out to the side. Press into the hands, lift up through the chest, maybe lift the chin, and option to lift your hips. So we press the knees down. Again, just avoid throwing the head too far back. Your neck really won't thank you for that. Lovely. And then we'll slowly lower the hips. Lean into your left side. So you can either bring the right shin and tuck it in behind you, making like a zigzag with the legs, or stretch the leg out on the diagonal with the left heel in towards the groin, whatever works for you. So let's try and sit that right sit bone down, really plug it in, left hand just to the floor. And then we'll reach the right arm across the body, and that's when we begin to lift that right buttock as you roll the hip forwards, reaching on the diagonal. And then we'll sit into that right sit bone as you draw that right elbow back, turning the chest to the right. So inhale, arm reaches up and across, pressing the hips forwards, lifting that right buttock, and exhale, sitting down, elbow draws back and round, taking you into a little twist. So you might find that one side, there's not much mobility. Both sides might be a little bit tight. A lot of us get very tight in our hips. So not to worry if you're not lifting your bottom, or if it doesn't feel like your bottom is lifting from the floor. Just get that rolling sensation. So we can do that twice more, either with the left hand there, or fingertips touch, elbows wide. Same action. Inhale, you turn to the left. So we're having to use that core a little more. Exhale, plug that sit bone down as you take that little twist. So inhaling, turning, turning, turning. And exhale, sitting down and taking that twist. Lovely. Bring the left hand down to the floor by the hip. Last time to reach the right arm up and over. Gaze stays down towards that back hand. You can stay there or push the hips forwards, reaching that top arm across and on the diagonal. Lovely. The hips lower, arm sweeps across the face, and we'll extend that right leg out now, if you've not done so already. Making sure the knee and the toes stay up towards the ceiling there. Back of the hand on your shin or thigh, and we'll take that little slide over towards the right. So the other arm is just relaxed, just seeing how that feels this morning. Trying to keep both sit bones grounded. Lovely. We'll slide our way back up to center. Inhaling, sweep the arms up. Ready for that little twist to the left. So right hand once more comes across to thigh or knee. Other hand behind you, sitting you forwards, nice and tall. And this time really sit down into that right sit bone. So try not to let that right hip lift. Lovely. We'll slowly come back to center, back into that side stretch. Back of the hand sliding down towards the foot. And this time, if you wish, left arm might lift up and over, but keep the chest facing forwards rather than rolling it down. And if you find that your chest is kind of angled towards the floor. Either slide that hand, that right hand up a little way, lift the body up, or just forget reaching the arm overhead. Some of you more open might hook your first 2 fingers around the big toe, so you can come down a little deeper, but not forcing anything, just seeing how that feels today. Lovely. And then we'll release, coming all the way back up. Let's give the legs a little shake out there. Ooh, let's warm up the hips. Let's tuck the feet behind us and come on to all fours. So before we come on to all fours, make sure you've got some space behind you and out to the side of you, because we're going to swish the leg around. So you might need to just move any furniture, or if you're practicing with someone, make sure you don't kick them. So hands underneath your shoulders, knees under your hips. We'll come to that one. Let's start just by bringing our sensations into the front and the back of the body. So pressing into the tops of the feet, pressing into your hands, find that nice long spine, and then allow the belly to dip, the tailbone to lift, the chest to pull forwards. Keep pressing into the hands, lovely, and then we'll round up like an angry cat, tailbone tucks almost between the legs, looking towards belly button or towards your knees. And then inhale, draw the chest forwards. Imagine you want to pull your wrists towards your knees as you come forwards. And then exhale, rounding up, trying to spread the shoulder blades apart. Again, as you just continue with your breath, you maybe just want to close your eyes here, feeling that lovely stretch through the front body as you inhale. And that corresponding stretch across the back of the body as you exhale into that angry cat. Lovely. So again, don't worry about how fast or slow you're going. Less focus on the doing, more just on the being. Let's do that once more. Oh, that's just so nice, just to release across the back. Lovely. So let's come and find that nice flat back now. So again, gazing forwards. It's very easy to drop the head here. So try and keep the gaze forwards there. And we're going to try and keep both arms straight as you pick up your right knee and just start to circle that right knee. So we're getting into the hip again. And what tends to happen is the bottom starts to swing over to the left elbow starts to bend. So if all of that's happening, just make the circles a little bit smaller. Just make the range of that movement a little bit less. Conversely, again, some of us more open in the hip might be finding that movement a little easier to take the knee in a bigger circle. But again, just feeling your way into that movement. Let's just do that once more. Right elbow, left elbow staying straight, sorry. And then we'll bring that right knee down. Without shifting the weight too much over to the right this time, we'll pick up the left knee. And this is my much stiffer side, so I'm going to have to make that movement a little bit smaller if my body is going to stay relatively still. And I'm not going to swing my hips over to the right. So that imbalance in my body is that my left side is much tighter. Lovely. So again, trying to keep that right elbow straight, trying to keep the hips more or less still. Let's do that a couple more times. So again, you might find that one side is completely different to the other. Lovely. And then we'll bring that knee back down underneath the hip. So back to that right leg. We'll take the right leg all the way back behind you, ball of foot to floor, pressing the heel away from you, crown of the head forwards. This move is called a cat's tail. So imagine that this right foot is your tail. You slide the foot out to the right, bringing your toes up towards your right hand. Again, avoid swinging your hips to the left. Keep the left elbow straight. And then we come all the way back and continue to draw a half circle, taking that right foot over to the left. You might even want to look over your left shoulder. Inhaling, toes slide up towards right hand, drawing that nice swish with the foot. And exhale, sliding the foot all the way over to the left and looking over left shoulder. Lovely. So as you continue, you can keep the foot on the floor, or you can hover that right foot just off the floor. And that's much harder work, I find. The legs are a heavy lever, so if that's a little bit too much, then keep the toes on the floor and just slide your way from side to side. Lovely. So this time, let's take that right leg out to the right, but only so far as it levels up with your left knee. So right big toe level with that left knee. walk your hands back towards you and lift up the chest. So we've got the right leg extended. Lovely, arms out nice and tall. Big toe facing forwards, or spin the toes up towards the ceiling, whatever works for you. Lovely, let's take an inhale. As you exhale, reach the right arm down and the left arm comes all the way up and over. It's called a gate pose. Try and keep the hips pushed forwards. Inhale, reach both arms up. And this time as you exhale, left arm reaches down. Just lift that right hip up a little bit as you take the right arm overhead. Lovely. Inhale, come back through center. Swing the hips back to center. Back over to the right as you exhale. Keeping the hips pushed forwards. Inhale, reaching up. And this time as you exhale, we'll press the right hip up. Either fingertips just reaching down towards the floor, or some of you might reach the floor, taking that left hand down, and we can stretch that arm overhead, push the hips forwards, and maybe even lift that top leg, keeping the foot flexed. So you've got a lovely long line from your fingertips to your heel. Oh, beautiful. Lower the foot. A little bit of momentum to swing you all the way back up through center. And then we'll bring the hands down to the floor and just walk the hands forwards as long as you can. And now draw your weight back. So sink your hips back towards that left heel, opening up your armpits to the floor. So just on the diagonal, my hips are drawing back. Lovely. Beautiful. And then walking the hands back, lifting the chest so your hands are now underneath your shoulders. Nice long spine. Looking towards the right hand. As you inhale, let's take the right arm up. Open the chest. And as you exhale, we'll feed that right arm under the left. You can soften that left elbow as we thread the needle. Twice more. Inhale, turning to the right. Right arm lifts. Exhale as you feed the arm through. Beautiful. Just once more. All the way up. And all the way underneath. Hand hovers. Let's come into that twist. So reach the right arm up towards the ceiling. Really get that sense of stretching. Some of you might even reach that top arm back a little ways. And then we'll bring the hand down and bring both knees back in line with the hips. If you need to give your wrists a little bit of a shake or a twirl out, feel free. And then we'll try that little cat's tail with the left leg. So keep the gaze forwards as we just slide the leg back first of all. Ball of foot to floor, hips face the floor. Getting a nice sense of space in the back of the leg. And then this tail, this time, you're going to swish your tail to the left without the hips swinging to the right. So toes slide up towards the hand. And then we slide the toes all the way back and over to the right, looking over your right shoulder. So inhale, swishing your tail up towards your left hand. Might not get there, don't worry. And then we swish our tail all the way back. Remember, you can pick up your foot, flexing your foot as you bring the toes towards the hand. And then swishing it all the way across the body. Lovely. Let's do that a couple more times. So trying to keep your right elbow straight this time. It's hard. Lovely. This time we'll bring that left foot level with the right knee. So it's not quite a bigger movement. Toes face forwards. Walking the hands back. So we're in that lovely gate pose with the left leg extended. Again, if the toes don't like facing forwards or the ankle doesn't, flip the toes up towards the ceiling like a little Cossack dancer. Hips press forwards. Let's take an inhale. Left arm comes down, right arm up and over this time in that little side stretch. So you're reaching that left hand down towards your knee. Lovely. Inhale, both arms reach up. And as you exhale, pop the left hip up. And the right arm reaches down, left arm overhead. Lovely. Swing the hips back to center. Inhale, both arms reach up. Exhale, over to the left. Just one more time. Keeping the hips pressed forwards. Inhale, come back through center. And we'll pop that top hip up, either reaching right hand just down, fingertips just trailing down towards the knee, or find the floor. Lovely. If you can't find the floor, we just keep the fingertips reaching down the side of the leg there. Hips press forwards. You might even be able to lift that top leg, keeping the foot flexed. Not very convenient Puro here. I can rest my hands on. Lovely. Woo, I can feel that in my thigh. Let's lower the foot. Bit of momentum to swing you all the way back up through center. And then we'll bring the hands down. Now, if your knee doesn't like being compressed, you can just keep your hands under the shoulders, or you take them further forwards and draw the body weight back, opening up through your armpits. Armpits opening up towards the floor, hips pressing back to the wall behind you. If that doesn't work for you, just find that nice long spine, keeping your hands underneath your shoulders. We're going to join you there in a minute. So as you walk the hands back underneath the shoulders, so you've got a nice long spine there. This time it's the left arm that lifts on an inhale, turning the chest. Exhale as you feed the arm underneath. So we're coming to that little thread needle, left arm leading. Inhale, so you're pressing into that right hand to open up through the chest. And then exhale as you feed the arm through. Lovely, just once more. Inhale, turning the chest, reaching up. And exhale as you release. Let's come into that twist and pause. So the left arm reaches up, gazing up if that's comfortable, or just keep the gaze down if that's more comfortable for the neck. Beautiful. We'll bring the hands down. We'll bring the knees in line with the hips. Let's just sit back on the heels for a minute. Prop yourself up on your elbows and just cool those wrists. That's a little bit heavy on the wrist, guys. Sorry about that. Give the wrist a little twirl there. Lovely. And then we'll walk the hands forwards, finding our way back onto all fours. If you want to stay on all fours this morning, feel free just to continue with that lovely cat-cow. Or join me in a downward dog, tuck the toes, and then we lift the hips. And we haven't really done much on the hamstrings. We've done a little bit on the hips. So have a little pedal out through the feet, opening up some space. We've done a little bit with the legs, so hopefully not too uncomfortable. Oh, beautiful. Arms in line with the side of the body there, that nice inverted V shape with the body. And then we'll bring the legs to stillness. Now pick up your right leg and take it across the left leg. So tuck it the right foot behind the left foot. You're going to bend the left knee and straighten the right knee. So you're pushing your right heel down towards the floor. Right leg is straight, left knee is bent. And try and send your rib cage back towards that left knee. So you're pressing the body back, opening up some space in the back of that right leg. And then bring the legs hip width apart. Pick up the left leg, left foot, and tuck the left foot behind the right foot. So this time, left leg straightens, push the heel down, bend the right knee, and stretch your rib cage back towards that right knee. So a nice stretch of the Achilles and the calf, lovely. And then we'll bring the feet hip width apart and have a little walk forwards, bringing your feet towards your hands. Bend your knees as you come into that forward fold. And if you're feeling a little bit giddy, you don't want your head lower than your heart, you just bend your knees and rest your hands just above your knees there. And those of you okay in a forward fold, you might want to cradle your elbows, you might want to move. You want to just gently shake the head a couple of times or nod, just let tension go from the neck. Lovely. And then we'll generously bend the knees, letting go of the elbows. So you can bring your fingertips either to the floor in front of the feet, or just rest your hands on your thighs above your knees with the knees bent. Looking towards that right hand, straighten the right leg and reach the right arm up towards the ceiling and try and press that right hip directly back behind you. Getting a nice stretch in the outer thigh and then bending the knees, fingertips to floor or just onto your thighs. Left arm lifts, left leg straightens, push that left hip directly back behind you. And then bend the knees, fingertips to floor or your thighs. Once more, inhaling, right arm lifts, right leg straightens, hip pushes back. Exhale, bend the knees, fingertips to floor. Last time, left leg, push that hip back as you straighten the leg, reach the arm up. And then knees bend, fingertips to floor. Keep the knees bent, roll your way up really slowly. And just take a moment to let blood pressure adjust. We've been on the floor a while. I'm just going to come and tilt the screen up a little ways there. Beautiful. So I'm just going to change sides. So I'm going to start mirroring you now. And we're going to step your right leg back first. So if you need to adjust your mat or turn yourself on your mat so you can still see me, that's fine. Let's just stand with our feet hip width apart, bringing your hands together at your heart and think about lifting your breastbone to meet your thumbs. So it's not a back bend, but we're trying to lengthen through the belly, making that belly as long as you can. So let's take 3 nice deep breaths here. So bend the knees, and as you inhale, sweep the arms all the way out and up, grow really long. And exhale, hands to heart, breastbone to thumbs. Twice more, so it's a big knee bend. Inhale, so power up from the feet, reach as tall as you can. And keep that sense of space and length through the spine as you lower the hands to the heart. Exhale, lovely. Last time, big knee bend. Inhale, all the way up. Exhaling down, beautiful. So this time just bringing the hands all the way down to the hips. A little bit of balance this morning, so shifting your weight into your left foot. Right heel just lifts up. You might want to stay there. As you extend the arms up towards the ceiling, reaching really tall, you might want to lift that right knee level with the hip. Foot pointed or toes flexed, whatever works for you. We'll take an inhale. And as you exhale, take that right leg back. Arms reach back alongside you, palms down. So some of you might have the chest forwards and that back leg level with the hip. Some of you might want to touch the toes down. Lovely. Beautiful. Slowly, slowly land that right foot. All 10 toes face forwards. Sweep the arms up so we're all in a high lunge there. If you're feeling wibbly wobbly, drop that back heel in. Straighten both legs, reaching tall, take an inhale. As you exhale, bend both knees, 90-90. Body stays upright, right knee kisses the earth. Inhale, straighten the legs, power up. Beautiful. Exhale, little dip down. Might be a bigger dip down, might be a little. Once more. Inhale, power up through that front foot. Exhale. You can always bring your hands to your hips. Inhale, straighten the legs. This time as you exhale, spin that back heel in, right heel in. Arms out, so we're in a warrior 2. You might want to walk that left foot to the middle of the mat. Sink down into that front knee, power up through that back leg as you bring the hands to the heart. So inhale, let's take the arms all the way up through the center line of the body. And as you exhale, looking over that left arm, reaching the arms apart. Lovely. Once more, inhale, power the arms up, arms travel up through the center. Exhale, look over that left arm. Beautiful. Reaching forward, so we'll bring the left forearm to thigh, right arm relaxes down the side of the body, gaze towards the floor. Big circles with that right arm. So inhale, reach that right arm forwards and up, opening the chest, you might look up. Exhale as you circle it back and down. Lovely. Inhale, big rotations through the shoulder. And exhale. This time as you inhale, let that inhale carry you all the way up to center. And as you exhale, reverse the arms. Left arm arcs up and back. Press that front knee forwards. Find a nice deep knee bend. Lovely. Inhaling back into your warrior 2. And as you exhale, we'll bring the hands down, frame that front foot. Pivot on that back foot so all 10 toes face forwards. Coming back the way we came, find that high lunge, sweep the arms up. Remember, you can drop that back heel in. Straighten the legs, reach up, inhale. Bending both knees, exhale, shoulders stay above the hips. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, back knee dips down. Remember, you can lower the arms if that's a little bit too much. Inhale up. Exhale, beautiful, bend the knees. Bring the hands down to frame the foot. Option to wiggle that right leg back, lower the hips, take the chest forwards in a nice lunge. You might even want to drop the back knee this morning. Those of you who want a little bit more, walk the hands forwards to make a triangle with that left foot. Press off that right leg and lift that right leg all the way up into a standing split. So you're gazing towards your left knee. If you want a little bit more, left hand takes hold around the back of the left shin. Or ankle. Embrace the wobbles and then bring the hands down. Bend that right knee and we'll all bring the feet hip width apart, feet under hips. Bend the knees. Take a nice deep breath in as you rise. Take your time. Exhaling, hands to heart. Let me turn around. Lovely. Bend the knees. Sweep the arms up. Inhale. And exhale, finding that length, gathering the breath once more. So big knee bend. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Hands travel all the way down. This time just bringing the hands on the hips. We're going to try that little sequence on the other side. So finding that balance now on your right leg, and just the left heel lifts. And this might be it. You might just want to stay here, and that might be your warrior three, just stepping the foot back today. If you want a little bit more, we reach the arms up, we lift the left knee level with the hip, foot pointed or flex, whatever works for you. Let's take an inhale, and exhale as you kick the leg back. Chest is offered forwards, palms down towards the floor, so chest parallel to the floor. Maybe it's a little higher. Slowly with control, let's land that back foot. Lovely, all 10 toes face forwards. You got it? Beautiful. Straighten the legs, take the arms up as you inhale. Exhale, we dip both knees, so 90-90, body stays upright. You can bring the hands down if that's more comfortable. Twice more, inhale, reach up. Exhale, we take that little dip. Beautiful, once more, inhale. Exhale, slowly, no rush. Straighten both legs, inhale. This time as you exhale, left heel spins in, arms wide, and you might need to walk that right foot just into the middle of the mat. Broad through the chest, pressing into the outside edge of both feet. Hands travel up all the way through the center line of the body as you inhale. And this time we look over your right fingertips as you separate the arms. Lovely, twice more. Strong in the legs, hey? You can always straighten that front leg if it's a little bit too much. Beautiful. Just once more, inhale. And exhale, wide across the chest. We'll reach forward, so this time right forearm to thigh. Left arm, just let it drape alongside the body, take the gaze down. Ready for those big arm circles. So inhaling, left arm reaches forwards and up. You can always follow the movement of the arm with the gaze if that doesn't knock you off center. If it does, keep the gaze down. Once more, inhale, all the way up, big movement. This time as you inhale, sweep the arm up, rise up. And as you exhale, right arm arcs all the way up and back, but we've still got that front knee bent, so we're getting that lovely sense of stretch in the hip. Beautiful. You ready for the last little bit? Inhale back into your warrior. Look down as you exhale, and the hands frame that foot. So all 10 toes face forwards, just separate the feet hip width. Ready for that little balance, so take your time. On, wiggly wobbly on this side, arms lift. Straighten the legs, inhale. Little dip or a big dip, exhale. Remember, it's harder with the arms lifted, so much more comfortable on blood pressure, for example, if you want to bring the hands down to rest on the hips. Just once more. Beautiful. So powering up as you inhale. This time as you exhale, we'll bend the knees, hands come down, framing the foot. Either just take a little wiggle back with the left leg, chest forwards, back heel stretching away in a nice lunge. You can even drop that back knee if you wish. Or if you want that last little challenge, hands walk forwards, making that triangle with your right foot. We lift that back leg, left leg lifting. So you're gazing towards your right knee or shin. And those of you who want a little bit more in that standing split, right hand just wraps around the back of your right ankle or shin. Let's bring the hands down, bending that left knee. Bring both feet down underneath the hips. Rise on an inhale. Well done, guys. Ooh. Exhaling, hands to heart. Fabulous. Let's take a moment, hands to heart. You might want to close the eyes. You might want one hand on the heart, one hand on your belly. Let's let the breath settle. That's a challenging one, hey? If you need a little drink, have a drink. And let's come back down to the security of the floor. So when you're ready, last big knee bend, sweeps the arms up. And exhaling, draw the chest forwards and down as you take that lovely swan dive down into a forward fold. Hands to your shins, your thighs, or fingertips to floor as you inhale, finding that halfway lift. And as you exhale, let's take 2 big steps back into a downward dog. Widening your feet towards the outside edges of your mat, dropping down onto your knees wide if you can. Point the big toes towards one another and ease your hips back towards your heels. You might want to stretch the arms forwards. You might want to widen the elbows, rest one hand on top of the other. That's my preferred child pose for this particular version. Have a little wobble of your hips side to side so you can find a nice sense of length and space for your belly. Nice long belly there. And the hips are nestled back towards your heels. And if child pose is not a resting pose for you, please feel free to sit up or lie yourself down on your back and give your knees a little squeeze. So allow everything just to begin to settle. Coming down to the floor. Lovely. And if, like me, you've made that little support for your head, just very gently stretch the arms out in front of you. Take a nice stretch through the side of the body before you walk your hands back towards your knees, lifting the chest. Point both knees forwards, drop your bottom to one side, and then swish both legs out in front of you. Lovely. So bring yourselves onto the middle of your mat. We'll ease our way down onto your backs, bringing your knees with you, knees to your chest. And just have a little massage through the back. You might just want to rock from side to side. Some of you might want to stir the knees round with the knees together. A few circles one way and then a few circles the other. Some of you might want to move the knees independently, like you're doing a big breaststroke. That's quite nice if you've got a little tightness in the hips or if all that leg work has stirred up some feelings in the hips. So when you've had a little massage out through the back, we'll bring the left foot to the floor, keep the right knee in towards the chest there. Might be down towards your chest, it might be dropping out more towards your armpits. Give a little squeeze, a little stretch through the back of the thigh and into the buttock. And then we'll hold on around the back of the leg and take that leg up towards the ceiling. Just relaxing the shoulders, dropping the chin to your chest. Just have a little turn through the foot or point and flex. Just free any residual tension through the ankle. Lovely. And then let the right arm just relax on the floor. Left hand comes to the outside of the right shin or thigh. And we'll draw the right leg over to the left. So trying to keep that left knee pointing up towards the ceiling there. And now see if you can push that right heel away from you. So flex the foot. And you might find some quite strong sensations in the outside of that right leg. Oh, lovely. Come all the way back to center. And this time we relax the left arm. We take the right leg out to the right. And you can catch it from underneath. So keeping the foot flexed, right hand might be just supporting that right leg underneath. So you come to a little inner thigh stretch. And you might want to roll to the outside edge of your left foot. So that knee opens up a little bit. Lovely. Left foot to floor, right leg comes back to center. Left hand draws the leg across the body. Pushing the heel away from you, getting that nice stretch. Lovely, back to center. And last time, over to the right, catching the leg from underneath and allowing that left knee just to roll open if that works for you. Lovely. We'll come all the way back through center, right leg up towards the ceiling, and then we'll cross your right leg over the left leg, if you can, crossing above the knee. No daylight between the thighs as you cross the legs, bring the arms out level with the shoulders. Lovely. We'll nudge the hips over to the right. Just pick up your knees, bring them towards your chest if you want a little bit more stretch, if not keep the foot on the floor, and we'll tip the knees over to the left. So option to scoop the knees up a little further towards the chest, and obviously if that doesn't work for you, having the legs crossed, then feel free to uncross the legs and just bring the knees and ankles together. So we've just nudged the hips over to the right and drop the knees over to the left. You might pick up your head and look over that back arm if that works for you. So you're getting a stretch just in the top of that right hip there. Trying to keep the chest more or less square towards the ceiling there. And slowly, slowly bring the knees back to centre. Bring your hips back onto the middle of the mat, uncross the legs, give the knees a little squeeze, and again you might just want to have a little massage there and a bit of movement before we do the other side. So when you've just released any tension, it's the right foot this time that comes to the floor, and the left knee that we give a little bit of a squeeze into the chest. Again, it might open more on the diagonal than coming directly down towards the chest. Depends on how our hips are configured. And then we'll take the leg up towards the ceiling. Just hold on around the back of the thigh there as you free up some space in the ankle, maybe a little turn at the foot or a point and a flex. Just mobilise that little joint there. And then we'll just let the foot relax. Left hand, just rest it down on the floor. And the right hand comes across outside of your shin or thigh to bring the left leg across to the right. So that left hip's going to lift a little bit. And now see if you can flex the left foot. So be quite active with the foot. So you should feel the difference now. Maybe a little bit more sensation in the top of the hip, maybe down the outside of your thigh. We'll keep the foot flexed as we come to centre. This time we change hands, so as you open the leg out to the left, that left hand might catch it from underneath. And that right knee might roll open. Just roll to the outside edge of the right foot there. Lovely. Let's bring the right foot to the floor, leg to ceiling. Use that right hand to draw the left leg across the body, pushing the heel away from you. Then last time we'll come back to centre. Opening out to the left as you maybe swing that right knee open a little bit. So you're getting a stretch in both inner thighs, but we're not pulling the back by loading it with two extended legs. We'll bring everything to centre, this time crossing left leg over right leg. So if you can, we cross above the knee. Arms out level with the shoulders. Nudge your hips an inch or so over to the left. And then we'll drop the knees to the right. So again, you might be bringing the knees up towards your chest, and you might feel even more stretch around the top of that left thigh, or you can just take the feet further away from you. So you're kind of lessening the intensity of that twist. Don't like having the legs crossed? Uncross them and bring your knees and ankles together. And so you might roll your chin down towards your left shoulder. Again, just taking the time just to notice maybe the differences, subtle differences in the body. We're not symmetrical beings. So sometimes what feels quite easy on one side might feel far more intense on the other, and vice versa. Slowly, slowly, let's bring the knees back to centre, uncrossing the legs. Bring the feet to the floor so you can bring your hips back to the middle of the mat. Arms down alongside you, reaching fingertips towards your heels. Let's come into a delicious shoulder bridge to finish. So press into the feet, lift the hips up towards the ceiling, pushing them up. You might need to pick up your head and slide it away from you a little bit to create more space. Some of you might be quite low, others you might tuck one shoulder blade and then the other underneath you so you can interlace your hands. Pressing into your feet, make sure your knees don't roll out to the side there. So imagine you want to arrow the knees forwards. Lovely. It's pushing your chest up towards your chin. Lovely. And then we'll release the arms alongside you. You might want to pick up your heels and roll your way down. Slowly, slowly, slowly. And when the hips touch down, bring the heels down, extend the legs, reach both arms above the head and take a delicious full body stretch. Beautiful. And then slowly bring the arms down alongside you. And if you want to stay just for a moment or two of relaxation, feel free to make yourself comfortable there. If you've got to shoot off, then feel free, but remember, don't be too busy. If you prefer to bend your knees and have your feet on the floor and your knees resting against each other, feel free to make those adjustments. So I was talking at the beginning about busyness. And as we settle just for a few minutes away from the to-do list, let me read you this. And some of these words you might just want to remember as we head into a new week. Pause. Amidst the busyness. During the days of back-to-back appointments, celebrations and meetings. During the moments when life seems to be moving at 100 miles per hour. Pause. Take it all in, right where you are now. Reacquaint yourself with who you are. Remind yourself that you're doing your best and that that is all you can do. Pause. Allow yourself to take a moment to stretch and feel your muscles relax. Let any tension fall away. Pause. Take in as much air as your lungs will allow and just breathe. You're doing better than you think. So as we enjoy now a few moments just to do exactly that, to press pause. Take a moment to stretch and feel your muscles relax. Breathing in, taking in as much air as your lungs will allow. And breathing out, letting any tension just fall away. Just breathe. Amidst the busyness, just breathe. You feel the mind just pulling you forwards in anticipation of back-to-back appointments, meetings, whatever next week might hold. Just pause, come back to your breath, right where you are now. If you want to continue pausing for as long as you like, feel free to stay there. If you're ready to face the day, hopefully feeling a little bit more recharged, very gently just begin to move your fingers, maybe your toes, maybe just rolling the back of your head across the mat. You gently drop your chin from side to side. And if the knees are bent, stretch the legs out, reach both arms back. Let's take one last glorious full body stretch, reaching the arms back, gently pointing the toes. Just breathe. And then lowering the arms, bringing your heels back in towards you so you can gather your knees in towards your chest, giving them a little hug. And again, sometimes it's nice to move, sometimes to rock or circle the knees, or sometimes just to be still for a moment. And then we'll just bring our feet down to the floor and rolling onto one side, your left or your right side, depending on where there's space around you, avoiding furniture, dogs, family members. And then come and join me in a comfortable seated position when you're ready. Hands on the knees or the thighs, sitting up nice and tall. Okay, let's take one nice big breath together. So as you inhale, reaching the arms up, taking in as much air as your lungs will allow. And as you exhale and bring your hands to your heart and your chin to your chest, reminding yourself that you're all doing better than you probably think. And namaste. Thank you. Thank you for pausing with me this morning. amidst the busyness. Thank you.
Thank you, Helen.